What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Nvidia today, NVDA, at the request of SAU. We're doing this for you. Hit that like button, you guys. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and let's get into it. Let's talk about Nvidia. So we're sitting at $139. It is going to be Thursday tomorrow at open, right? I'm looking at the monthly time frame here. Each one of these candles counts as a month. And before we get into the price, I want to open it up with the RSI. I've got some measurements here, right? I've gone through and just measured these kind of key points. You can see this is the overbought zone. Anytime that you're above this dashed dotted line here, you're in the overbought zone. Below it, you're in the oversold zone. You really don't do a whole lot of that. It looks like you like to be overbought. I've measured from the beginning that you're in the overbought zone to the end when you got out. I've gone through and measured each one of those stints. The biggest one you had at first was 8 months, 5 months, 5 months here. Then you had these much longer stints being in the overbought zone. 32 months, 21 months. As of now, Nvidia on this just immaculate run up, you've only been overbought, I say only, for 13 months. That's crazy. 13 months is a long time to be overbought. But you've had stints where you've gone dramatically longer than that, right? Like almost 3 times this in time, let alone even this one here, almost double that in time. So I would say Nvidia is nowhere near the end of its party. But let's also take into account now that we've got the being in the overbought zone kind of readings, let's take into account when you got into the overbought zone, which here would have been here this month, okay? Would have been this month here. Okay, that's the month you got into the overbought zone. To the time that you stopped moving up. Okay, that was 32 bars. Oh, actually that was, hey, look at that. That was so it came in line. That's good. So you're overbought the whole time. You literally stopped moving up the month that you got out of the overbought zone. That's crazy. That's awesome. Okay. This time you got overbought right here on this month. And then you stop moving up here on the 19th bar. You were in the overbought zone for another 2 months, and this is kind of what I was expecting, was that you'd probably top off in price before you get out of the overbought zone. That makes sense, right? You topped in your overbought zone on the 19th month. Overbought now for 13 months. The reason I was measuring it was to just get an idea of how long you could be overbought. But whenever we apply it practically to the price action, you probably would consider that we, even if we do see an overbought reading for 32 months, like this one here. I'm going to go back, keep going back. Even if we do see overbought readings for 32 months, something like that, it goes all the way out here, and that's when we get out of the overbought zone. It could be the 30th month or the 28th month that we top off, and then we're just moving down that time. So even though, yes, we might be like halfway through the stint that we're in the overbought zone, we might be, and probably are, more than halfway through this move, if all that makes sense. I don't know. Semantics aside, if we look at this relative high here to the relative low, you moved all the way up to your 2886 extension, basically falling just shy of that, pulling back to your golden extension, and you're off to the races after that, man. Beautiful move. Very beautiful move. Remember, that was the 2886, right? 2886, the green line. The green line. It's green because if you hit it that high, man, you're making money. That's that's why. You're at the 2272 now, right? Which is it's a very common level to hit. No wonder you're finding resistance at it. You've been finding resistance kind of accumulating in this zone for the past like half year now. You look like you're about to rip. You look like you're about to get going, man. This is not rejection off the 2272 looks, in my opinion. Looks like you want to rip to the 2618 and maybe all the way up to that 2886 area like you did before. In fact, from this high to low, you didn't go to the 2886, did you? You fell just shy of it. You fell just shy. You can see it right here, right? Just shy of the money line, that green line there, just shy. And that's okay. Maybe you don't respect it, but that's okay. 2886. Well, right here, the 2886 is at $311, so I'm going to say just shy of the 2886 is $300. We could potentially see Nvidia moving up until $311, and that could take, we're at $139 now. That could take a good bit of this next year coming up, but I do think we'll see prices at least above $230, if not around $300 at some point in the mid to ending parts of 2025. And I think this rally, this next phase up to that, it's going to start very soon. If it doesn't start this month, it'll start maybe next month, right? Nvidia, whenever it goes on these runs, you can see here, it took us, we were kind of still in this zone. Whenever we broke out, it was this month, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months really to run. And then we consolidated again for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 months. Then it took us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months to run. And then we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 months. We're on our 8th month now. In reference to this, we're a little bit past or overdue for our next move up. But in reference to the moves up themselves, it's been 5 to 6 months of just kind of moving up. And each one of those times too, right? If we count this, this is like the beginning of the move. These big candles here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That might be the end of the move. You still progressed on afterwards for the next 3 months, right? Just the meat of the move was the first 5 months. That's what I was counting. But then you got into this consolidation phase. Really, you kept growing over the next 3 months after that, right? Same thing here. You started to move up on this candle. That's when you broke out of this consolidation phase. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months, 6 months. That's when you started consolidating again, right? And on that one, it was the 6 month that you did top off, basically there. So essentially, by saying all of that, you moved up 8 months, you moved up 6 months, essentially. Once you broke out of your consolidation phases, right? That's what I'm going off of, because we're still in our consolidation phases now. One could argue, the reason why I'm going in great lengths to be meticulous like this is you could argue we've been moving up for 4 months already. Green month after green month. I hear that argument. I'm not going to argue that. I get that. But that's where I turn around and say we haven't been moving up. We've been consolidating. And that's why I'm basing it not off of the green months, but off of the moves that are up and away from these consolidation phases. So with that in mind, again, when we break out of this consolidation phase, which could be this month, we'd expect to see anything from a 6 month to an 8 month move, which if it's this month, that could be 1 month there, 2 months, right? 6 months would put us out to May of 2025. 8 months would put us out until July of 2025. And there's always the possibility that this next stint could be longer or shorter as well. You know what I mean? So personally, I am expecting it to be longer. I think that we'll see this run probably take us, to the end of 2025, going into like September, October, November times. For anybody that pays attention to Nvidia, we're doing all this, man. We're only on the monthly chart. We got a lot more to go over, right? More immediate stuff. We're kind of talking about end of cycle stuff here. But what I think is very interesting is if we compare Nvidia here, we compare it to Bitcoin, new price scale, right? This is where cryptos meet stocks, man. This is a real stock. This isn't a crypto stock. I mean, kind of, right? Crypto's technology or software. Nvidia makes computer chips and stuff, right? I mean, it kind of makes sense they'd go together, but Nvidia is a stock. It's not like a crypto mining stock, right? This is where we actually see some solid relationships in stocks and crypto here, in my opinion. I want to take away the line. If none of what I just said had any relevance or made sense, don't even worry about it. Who cares? From a high here in Bitcoin, we had the all-time high in Bitcoin in November of 2021. It was the same time that we topped off in Nvidia right here. Last cycle, last Bitcoin cycle, that's where we topped off. Okay, Nvidia, the last cycle for Bitcoin, or the cycle before, the 2017 cycle, Nvidia did not top off with Bitcoin, but if you sold at the time that Bitcoin topped off, you would have sold probably at like $5. You would have missed the rally up to $7, but you would have had an opportunity to buy at $3 or at least below $4 if you just waited, right? Still a good opportunity to buy. It looks like Nvidia, this time, and actually, I think it might be important to note the Bitcoin bull cycle, in my opinion, did not end here, right? Nvidia topped off here in November, but I think the bull cycle ended here. And if we take that same kind of metric into account, the bull cycle ended here, while Nvidia kept running afterwards, right? The bull cycle ended here, Nvidia kept running afterwards. Even if you sold it here, once the bull cycle ended, the price inevitably came back to even lower prices than where you would have sold. But both times, the Bitcoin cycle ending, because I wouldn't call this bull cycle, right? This part here is like sidewaysness. But the bull cycle ending did prompt the ending of Nvidia, right? Its move up. The bull cycle ending here, that did prompt the ending of Nvidia, right? Something to kind of keep in mind maybe going forward. I'm curious. Let's see. 10 months later, Nvidia topped off. 7 months later, Nvidia topped off. That's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. I don't know if anybody else thinks that's cool. Let me know in the comments. Say that's cool. Boost the algorithm a little bit. Bitcoin topped off here, right? The high actually it doesn't say, but I know that this month was the high. I feel like the red and green, it messes with me. It always makes me think this month is higher, but I've looked at it so many times. I know the actual price. Like I don't know it by heart, but this month is the high. I promise you. I wouldn't say that just to lie to you. This time Nvidia was not moving up so much, huh? Interesting. Nothing really to correlate there. And then if we go back further in time, am I still? Oh, I'm getting it confused with Bitcoin and Nvidia. There we go. Okay, there we go. Yeah. Nothing else. Okay. Nothing else really. Just the last 2 cycles. All right. Just the last like 8 years of price action has been kind of congruent with Bitcoin, and we can even see that more if I compare. If I don't compare, if I take off the comparison, we delete this here, and I go to the correlation coefficient, we throw on Bitcoin here, BTC. This just tells us how correlated from a -1 to a 1 perspective, 1 being very correlated, -1 being not correlated at all, how correlated they are. And so you can see above 0 means they are somewhat correlated. Bitcoin and Nvidia have been at times very correlated, at times somewhat correlated, still correlated because it's above the 0, and as of now, very, very correlated. So what I would expect, and both of these times, these high correlations, look at that, that's at the end of the bull cycle. We're coming to the end of the bull cycle now. It would make sense that we see these high correlations. So with Nvidia, all this to say, if you stuck with this, if you stuck with that whole crypto sidebar there, it might be worth it to pay attention to Bitcoin, because when Bitcoin tops off, you could expect to see Nvidia top off within a 6 to 12 month period afterwards. That's essentially that, right? I'm expecting Bitcoin to top off in late 2025, which would then imply that Nvidia might top off sometime in early or mid 2026. Off of that node itself, right? This move, you won't see a consolidation phase like this again or like this again until 2026 is essentially what we established by all that homework there that we just did. In theory, right? In theory, if it tops off a little bit later than Bitcoin does. Weekly RSI here, I'm going to get rid of the correlation coefficient. Let's hop back into the TA side of things. Weekly RSI looking like it's a little bit weak at the moment, to be fair, and that's fine. Let's look at the daily. I'm not getting a whole lot off of this weekly. Let's just look real quick. Low to high, yeah. You look, your price action looks really bullish. Like you look like you want to start moving up higher right now. And I like this fib, but the weekly RSI is throwing me off a little bit here. There we go. There we go. There's some clarity. All right, daily RSI saves the day, looks better. Double bottom off the 40, right? Double bottom off the 40 here. You've got higher lows, or like basically a double bottom in your price on a closing basis as well. Volume dying off as you're moving down. Love to see it. Consolidating, literally just consolidating right here. Right at previous areas of resistance, finding support there and consolidating, ready to rip. If you were to move down, I think you would have done it already. So you're just waiting for that next move up, which will probably take you, you're at 139 bucks now, Nvidia. Your next target, I would think, is going to be 158 bucks to 184 bucks. Being that you've consolidated so close to this 1272, I don't think you stop there. So probably by the end of this year of 2025, if not going into, you know, like later parts of January, I would think you're at 170, if not 184, somewhere in that area. By the end of December, early January, end of January, that's the price area that I think you're going to. Yeah, 170 to 185. That's the analysis. That's the prediction. If you guys enjoyed the video, hit that like button. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Anybody that's holding Nvidia, anybody that's investing in Nvidia for the long term, you know, I hope this video helped. Anybody that's trying to, you know, maybe catch this for the cycle and sell it at one of these local tops, that's easier said than done. It definitely is. But using the Bitcoin chart as a potential helping a leading indicator when Bitcoin tops off, which being that each time that we've seen these tops off happen for Nvidia before we sold off, this was like 7 months here, or I think that was 11 months after Bitcoin topped off. This was 7 months after Bitcoin topped off. 11 months and 7 months, that's what it was. Being that you had that much time after Bitcoin topped off, I think it will be very obvious, probably within a 2 to 3 month period after Bitcoin tops, that it has found a high. Right? Maybe immediately, maybe in that month, maybe even a month after, it might not be so obvious that Bitcoin's cycle is at an end. But what's nice about this is that these tops came in so far after the cycles that you really will, by the time it's even relevant to start considering like where the top might be for Nvidia, it'll be more obvious that the top is in for Bitcoin. So that should help allude to the idea that Nvidia might see some selling off soon. And at any rate, if you sold within the last 2 cycles, when Bitcoin topped off, if you just sold when the end of the cycle came for Bitcoin, both of the last cycles, if you sold Nvidia when Bitcoin topped off, the last 2 cycles, it wouldn't have been the absolute high, but if you waited like a year or more, you would have had an opportunity to buy at lower prices still. So using Bitcoin as a metric to sell, I think will be a good thing going forward, and we'll definitely remember that going forward. So I got nothing else to say, guys. I'm rambling. Hit that like button. Subscribe if you want more content like this. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.